Now that we've learned a little bit about working with numbers in .NET, let's turn our attention to dates and times. The DateTime class is the basic data type for working with dates and times, and since it is one of the default namespaces, I don't need to do anything to include it in my program. So let's open up the sample code in the DateTime class folder. And like I said, I can just start working with it. I don't have to do anything special to include it because it's one of the implicit using statements that gets created for me. So to get the current date and time, we can access the now static property of the DateTime class. So I can create a variable named now, and I'll just set it to datetime.now. And let's go ahead and print that out. If you're only interested in the date and you don't care about the time, you can use the today property. And this just gets you the date with the time component set to midnight. So let's go ahead and print that out as well. And in addition to the DateTime class, there are two classes that represent just dates and just times. And these are new in .NET 6. They're called date-only and time-only. So I can create a date-only object. And I can create this from a DateTime. So I'll just use datetime.now again. And I can make a time-only one as well. And let's print those out as well. And we'll copy and paste that. So let's run what we have so far. Open this in the terminal and let's .NET run. And the output is pretty much what you'd expect, right? So here is the datetime.now. So that's the full date and time. Here is just the datetime.today with the component time set to midnight, and then the date only and the time only. So once we have these objects constructed, we can use their methods and properties to manipulate their data. So let's minimize this a little bit. So let's go ahead and write out. We can access, say, for example, the day of week on today's date. And we can also, if I copy and paste that, we can access the day of year. And there are also methods to change the date and time values. So for example, I can update the now variable by calling add days, and I'll add 5 days. All right, let's copy and paste this a couple times. So I'll add hours, and we'll add 9 hours, and then we'll add months, and we'll add 1 month. All right, and then let's write that out one more time. So now let's comment out some of the previous code so we don't clutter the output. I want to comment that line and that line. And then let's also comment this here. All right, so let's .NET run again. And now we can see the day of the week property right here. It's a Saturday, and then the day of the year. And then I've added 5 days, 9 hours, and 1 month to my now variable, which updates it to this date and time, which we can see is sometime in the evening in April. So what's really nice about DateTime is that you can use instances of the object in comparisons and math operations. The .NET Framework provides a timespan class that represents a duration of time. So when you perform an operation on 2 datetimes, you'll get a time span back. So let's scroll down a little bit. And let's consider these 2 datetimes here, one that represents April Fool's Day and one that represents New Year's Day. So let's go ahead and comment out the previous examples. All right, so I've got 2 date times, and I can create a time span by subtracting New Year's from April Fool's Day. So I'll make a new time span, and I'll call that interval. And what I'll do is I'll have April Fool's minus New Year's. And then we'll just simply print that out. And I can perform operations using standard operators. So for example, I can print out whether or not New Year's is less than April Fool's. And then let's just try the same thing with greater than. So I can do, mathematical comparisons. All right, so we've commented out the previous examples, and let's now run the updated code. So I'll bring this up a little bit. All right, and let's run. And you can see that the difference between April Fool's and New Year's is 90 days. And we can also see that New Year's is less than April Fool's because it comes before that date, and New Year's greater than April Fool's is false. So we've only just scratched the surface of the DateTime class here. So if you want to take some time to maybe look at the docs and experiment with some of the methods we didn't try, then feel free to take a few minutes here to do so.